Welcome to the breakfast show with me, Ryan Huang. Now, many of us are used to matching our food and beverages. How about our cutlery? Well, do you know the most common type of waste being disposed at our incineration plants in Singapore is plastic, followed by food waste and paper. When you think about it, when you take away your food at the food courts or where have you, no, you just go through these things very fast and often without a thought, and all that builds up. And that's why plastic use or wastage is a very big deal. It all adds up and it is all adding to the landfills around the world. And the big question now is what can we do about it? How about the idea of edible cutlery? So that's been gaining quite a lot of attention and growing in terms of popularity. And on Mind Your Business today, we'll be speaking with two co founders of a startup that aims to address the problems of plastic waste and also poor urban nutrition with a single product. So, killing two birds with one stone. Let's check in with Anna Lam. She is the co founder of Crunch Cutlery. Anna, welcome to the show.
Hey Ryan, thanks for having me.
All right, also alongside you is Ezra Chan, co founder as well of Crunch Cutlery. Ezra, welcome to the show.
Hi Ryan, happy to be here.
Yeah, so quite an interesting idea. And if you have the chance to catch us on video, I am holding up the packaging from Crunch Cutlery. It looks a bit like a yellow gift box, and inside it, you will find some sachets that will contain, I believe, in one packet, two pieces of spoons. I've eaten this one, it's a bit half eaten. It's the one I've just had is blue pea lychee. Sean across me had strawberry. I believe we've got other flavors as well. But let me run through this in just a few moments. But let's start with Anna first. Crunch Cutlery is apparently your baby. So what inspired you to have this creation?
Oh, that's an interesting choice of word, Ryan. Well, okay, so the genesis of it is that I got this idea during the pandemic. I think like a lot of Singaporeans, I had a lot of takeaways, lunch, dinner, sometimes breakfast. And I actually got an impressive collection of single-use plastic cutlery. It's still on display in my house drawer, never to be used again. So it's one of those things where when you start thinking about it, the idea starts to build and it doesn't go away. So it became a little bit like an obsession, right? So I was thinking about my drawer, my mom's drawer, my sister's drawer, friends, family, colleagues, and not to mention, the hundreds of dessert stores around Singapore giving out plastic cutleries and plastic bowls and spoons, bowls and cups all the time. So I felt like this was really starting to become an issue for me personally because I've gotten quite educated over the sustainability issue, and to me it's like, well, it doesn't really have to be this way. So I saw an opportunity, okay, and I've also heard about the concept of edible cutleries before. So I started experimenting, seeing how this could be suitable for the Singapore market, and the rest is history.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the packet. So it comes with actually a spoon and a bit of a spork as well. So
Yeah.
quite an interesting idea to get around the, I guess, first the disposable cutlery, and then you mentioned the single-use cutlery, and I guess some people have a stock of it at home as well, the reusable cutlery. So it's quite interesting take on how you can get around these challenges. But it's a very interesting design as well. It's not a typical spoon shape. It's actually a bit of a, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's almost like
Yeah,
a
so
spoon.
it took us about 5 months to design. So this was done in collaboration with the A-Star team. So it's the Innovation Factory team from the A-Star branch. And my sort of brief to them when I started was, okay, so I need something to eat food with, but it can't look like a cutlery. So I'll give you a reason why. Let me show you something that's very historical that's sitting in my
Oh
fridge.
yeah, I'm quite familiar with that one. It looks
Yeah,
like a
so this
typical
is
spoon.
like a regular spoon. So this is actually one of the early prototypes I did back in 2000. Not edible anymore. It's been sitting in my fridge for 3 years. So the concept is that I just wanted to see if it works. And we realized that when we made it into a spoon shape, just a regular spoon shape, people didn't want to eat the stem. So like they would eat like half of
Ah,
this, and then they'll throw
why?
the rest away because it psychologically people, just don't eat spoons, right? So one of the early revelations I had was, okay, it can't look too much like a spoon. Like people have to discover that, oh, okay, I can use it to eat, and then I'll eat with it afterwards. So that was
All
one of
right.
the first observations. The second thing is the learning curve. So you notice that there are two parts to the cutlery. There's a spoon and a spork. Because when you first eat with a cutlery, an edible cutlery, you don't know how exactly to use it. So the breakage rate is the break rate is very high. So our intention was, okay, you use one first, either the spoon or the fork. And when you break it, that becomes like a biscuit or like a canapé where you can eat
Hmm.
your ice cream or yogurt with. Then you use the other one to eat it. When you become better at using edible cutlery, then you can share that. So it becomes like, I don't know, half the price. So that's sort of the design intention behind it. And there were also design elements like yin and yang. So if you look at the shape, this is how the
All
original
right,
shape
that's
looks
right.
like. Yeah, it's like a flattened yin and yang. And it goes back to sort of our belief of having balance and harmony, both from your nutritional perspective and from an environmental perspective.
Right, you are showing us a few pictures of what it used to look like,
Yeah.
and it was like a typical soup spoon, and it moved on to evolve it into something that looks quite nice, like a bit of a spatula of sorts. What's it made of? People are going to be curious. No, can I actually eat this? And then they'll be wondering, what is it made of?
Yeah, so our ingredient list is fully available on our website. So we are actually categorized as food. So we have to declare the full ingredient list. The base is actually a gluten-free flour mix because a lot of our clientele are actually quite conscious about their food consumption. So
Mm.
we are very careful to create a vegan-friendly, gluten-free flour mix. So it's a bit like those vegan-free biscuits that you have. That's the base, and then on top of that, we have different layers of flavors. So for example, the strawberry was actually made with free strawberry powder and colored with natural red yeast. The blue pea that
Mm.
you had is actually blue pea powder.
Right.
So that is actually the base in which we work with. We also have to think about the shape and the form. So the part of the recipe is actually with the flavor profile. The second part is with the tensile strength. So it's a little bit on the hard side, but we've tried to make it as thin and as palatable as possible. So therefore, you get the structural integrity as well.
All right, Ezra is bringing into the conversation right now, and we've been seeing quite a surge in the push for sustainability, especially in F&B, from chopsticks to packaging. Now, to what extent does Crunch Cutlery help to solve the problem, and what's been the reception so far coming from the business community?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Ryan. Well, I would say that edible cutlery is still a relatively new concept here in Singapore. And when we first launched Crunch Cutlery, we were excited to be a pioneer in this field, especially for Singapore consumers. So, in terms of the extent that we contribute, we estimate that Singaporeans throw away more than 500 million disposables utensils every year, which I think is a huge number in my opinion, and it's only projected to only go up as the population increase. So we have been proud to make a positive impact so far by preventing up to 500,000 of those utensils that would have been ended up in a landfill. Uh, and we are working on bringing that up to other types of footwear as well. I would say so far the reception has been positive. People that too tend to seem to like it,
Mm.
although it takes a while to get them to understand what is an edible cutlery in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been going around the studio asking people would be willing to try it. Some of them did. So it's been a range of reactions. Some loved it, some did not. No, has that been your experience trying to pitch it? You need to get over that hurdle.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I think it's something that they first have to understand. That you can even eat your utensils. But I think once they got around to be able to digest that, then I think it shouldn't be a problem. Our
all
our
right.
spoons are designed to be delicious as well.
Okay, nice pun. Digest that. Okay, so I'm wondering, is this a new way of looking at edible spoons? Should you be eating it by itself, or should you think about it as being a complement to your meal?
So I would say that it's definitely going to be a complement to to a meal. We try to have flavors that pair really well with your desserts, your yogurts, and even some of your soups that people consume on a daily basis.
All right, we are in conversation. You've been hearing from Ezra Chan. He is the co-founder of Crunch Cutlery. We also have Anna Lam, another co-founder of Crunch Cutlery. And I'm just wondering about the reception now from customers. How much are people willing to pay for these spoons? How do you arrive at the price levels? I'm looking at a website. It's about 490 for 2 spoons, and then if you buy more spoons, of course, it gets cheaper. How do you come to this price, and do you see any resistance from people who think, hey, I am paying so much for a spoon, I can just get one for 10 cents at a plastic shop?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you, Ryan. Price is definitely an issue. But for us, what we are doing right now is a lot of niche marketing, and I
Mm.
don't think that we are, actively selling in groceries or in the manufacture in sorry, in the mass market space. So yeah, we're not in the mass market space. So we are quite niche at the moment. And when we do talk to customers, of course, the conversations can go down the road of if I ordered a certain quantity, can we talk a little bit about price? So obviously we do have that conversations as well. But I think what we are working towards is we're just building the idea, building the concept, and building the familiarity. Like you mentioned, there is a little bit of resistance even when people first hear about the idea on whether or not this is something I
Yeah,
would use on
yeah.
a daily basis. So for us, we built the idea, we built the concept, we built the trials. In the back end, what we are doing is actually building our mass production capability. So how can we bring down the price? How can we increase the production in a sustainable way? And how can we bring down the price? So this is something we're working in the background in collaboration with building the brand.
Yeah, definitely something to look forward to. But in early stages, typically any product will have a bit of a curve when it comes to educating the public and raising awareness. So when you
Yeah.
look at the response so far, where has it been coming forth from in terms of demographics as well as the type of food shops? Which ones have been the one to jump on board first?
So we trialed initially with individual stores, and the reception was a little bit tricky because there were a lot of operational challenges. So, for example, we do not directly manage the operations of an ice cream store or a dessert store. So it is up to the staff on whether they wish to promote it or how much do they promote it. So that one was a bit of a challenge for us. Eventually, we decided to move away from that and move towards the retail space. So we do a lot of consumer outreach, we do a lot of school outreaches, and that's how we get the messaging and the product out. Where we see our biggest sales coming from is actually from the business sector. So we do get a lot of our products purchased as corporate gifts. So in fact, a lot of customers receive it free because it's part of like a corporate bundle. So that's two of our primary business models as
Nice.
well. We are looking at going back to the in-store location because that's where we see a lot of opportunities to really do good and to replace single-use cutleries.
Yeah, so in store, you're talking about your supermarkets,
No,
or
I'm
will it
talking
be niche
about the
grocery
dessert
shops?
stores. Yeah, so like your ice cream stores.
Okay, okay. All right, I'm quite excited about this, especially what's in store in the future. So, what do you have in mind as the next step for Crunch Cutlery? Because I'm thinking there are so many potential applications, and I'm just looking around the office. We use a lot of coffee stirrers, and I'm thinking this can actually work. Because if I am thinking about, I'm quite a old school guy. I dip my bread and biscuits in Milo, so I'm thinking this can actually work the same way.
Yeah, so we did experiment on those. We tried one where we had a spoon, but it comes with like a caramel topping or like a
Hmm.
sugar cap, so you can use it as a stirrer and then a biscuit afterwards. That was a little bit challenging to make, so it's still in the R&D phase at this point. In terms of expansion plan, I think the most important thing for us is actually to upscale our production because we do have a cap right now, and so we had to turn down a few customers where we're like, oh, sorry, we cannot hit that certain volume. And in terms of exports, it's also a little bit tricky. So our key priority is actually to concentrate the flavors. So instead of going into like 10, 20 flavors, we want to focus on the top five, the top three or top five, and then work towards upscaling that production and also trying to make it more accessible to people.
Okay, I think that's quite exciting news to look out for. Would there be any particular markets you'd be, aiming for internationally first?
Yeah, we're looking at Australia.
Why Australia? What makes
Why
Australia the
Australia?
next target? Yes.
So we're looking at Australia primarily because I think the values of sustainability is extremely high there. Edible cutlery has also been introduced to the market. So there are edible cups and edible spoons that are being imported
Mm.
from India. So we believe that coming from a Singapore market, especially with our stronger food R&D experience, we would have an interesting time as the first market to expand to.
All right. We've been chatting with Anna Lam. She is one of the co-founders of Crunch Cutlery, as well as Ezra Chan, co-founder as well of Crunch Cutlery. Anna, Ezra, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Money FM 89.